That is true. Jamie White, I'm General Manager Tanger, and I'm also a member of the MOC committee.
All right. Ashley Beatty, I'm the VP of Marketing here at the Branson Chamber and CBB.
Heather Herman, Chief Marketing Communications Officer here.
Let's go to you. Drew Callison, member of the MOC and with Danner Enterprises, representing 1,000 Hills in Rockland, Salem, Branson, and other entities here in Branson.
Len Schultz and Alderman in Branson.
Hi, Nancy. I am the president for the Branson Chamber and CBB.
Stu Braun with the MOC and with the TCED.
My name is Chris Meyer and I'm the TCD board. I think we're still waiting on Alex and he's out there somewhere on the phone, I guess.
No, I can't find Aaron. We link set.
And so I think it appears to me Tim Haygood is on the phone. So I know we do have some guests in the room, so just want to say we appreciate you being here. We also have some MOC committee members. And this is just a work session, and so there's no vote that is taken on anything today, but it just, when we do a work session, it gives us the ability just to have conversation. There's basically two items on our agenda. And the first one is the 26 marketing goals and strategies. And then the second item is the mission statement development that our board's been working on. And so just to kind of give a quick recap, and then I guess we'll, at some point, once Alex gets in here, we'll call the meeting to actual order. But I'm going to say, I don't know, I guess it was maybe at last month's board meeting on our, based on our procedures document, was for the board to talk about KPIs, goals, and strategies. And so we adopted the KPIs that MOC had recommended. But we then also, I presented just some of my personal goals that for the organization. And part of this, if we go back, and and look at past history, it's like we've done things, I think, a lot of times either after the fact or too late. So we're trying to get ahead of the game. It may not be perfect, but we're trying to get ahead of the game. And so in that process, shared with the board some strategies and goals. We had a work session where we talked about that as well as some other things. And then out of that meeting, we said, okay, let's come back and have the CVB involved. Let's get their input. And then we did open that up to the MOC. We sent this all to you if you wanted to come, you could. We really didn't get a lot of additional feedback, and maybe it's people aren't used to that. I think, the way we have it structured is that once the marketing plan is delivered, it's a draft, there's opportunity for revisions and that kind of thing. I think we were just trying to get a little bit ahead of that. So that kind of just gets you where we are today here. So anyway, I think, Angela, can we keep moving forward, or would you still have to wait?
We don't have to vote, so we're just talking, discussing, and
I say at this point we go forward, and when he shows up in here, he shows up. We'll just call the meeting to order, even though we don't have a quorum. We hopefully will here in just a second. Invocation. Anybody want to volunteer to do the prayer? If not, Chris, go ahead. Awesome, thank you.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you, God, for this wonderful day that you have created. Thank you for letting us live in an absolutely gorgeous town. I pray, dear Lord, that you just allow us to shine your glory through all that we do here in this meeting, as well as what this town represents, and that we show your glory in all we do. In Jesus Christ, Lord, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, so marketing goals and strategies. We sent the document out, I guess it was last week. And so people have had an opportunity to kind of take a look at that. The board has discussed that in some detail as well. And so I think it's, it's open time to talk about strategies and goals. So Heather, do you want to kick it off, or what would you like to do?
I'd love to hear what more you all heard, if you received more than the strategies and goals that you submitted, Chris, and
The only thing that I've heard, I did not get into anything in writing from anybody, was trying to focus some more in what I call the end of August, September, with the boating aspect, whether that's social media, making sure our lakes are included. That was the only thing that I heard that could possibly be put into a goal that was not sent in by. I didn't get any documentation to that effect. Any MOC members have any comments at all?
The demographic and targeting based, I didn't see a lot on the document that was on this part of it was very detailed, or maybe I missed.
Yeah, the document itself that was sent to you was not detailed.
Okay.
It was I would call it
Just
high level.
high level of whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think demographics is super important. I'm not sure what the goal is exactly with that, but I'm excited about what we're doing with Christmas and moving forward with that kind of stuff, things like that. But I think demographic breakdown is super important, getting that right, especially, of course, I will always bang on this one, is getting people that are show oriented in this town, because they're out there just, sometimes we're attracting people that aren't necessarily always show oriented.
Drew?
So Chris, actually, now you just said that, I apologize. Apparently, I must not have sent my email on that, which come in habit with me. They go to draft and I ping pong around. But basically what I had stated was, from an email standpoint, I feel like we should have far more focus on how many email subscribers we're getting through the website, what those efforts are producing, not just through pop-ups, but through actual, good native holistic efforts to get people's emails, to get them signed up, to find out what their interests are, kind of like we do with the vacation guide. And then to segment that and to really even get a lot of the stakeholders in the community more involved in being able to send out more segmented emails as it relates to the interests of our visitors. The other thing was SMS. I have seen a little bit on SMS with the new campaign we were looking at with the Hallmark stuff, but I mean, I don't see that we're doing anything to really capture people on their phone numbers, get them subscribed and opted in for SMS updates, notifications. What type of notifications do they want about Branson? When do they want to be notified? When do they want to be notified? Because you like to travel certain times of the year. So finding ways we can segment. We have so many visitors that come to our website. We spend vast quantities of money to make this happen. And I know that even with Heather's new focus, what I've heard from her is really reducing the amount of commission to agencies and doing more, getting more bang for our buck, which I love. So I would just say that the thing that I would love to see is a focus on how do we now take a lot of those visitors, which we know we don't convert anything on the website. We're not selling anything. I'm from an industry where, everything's about converting and selling stuff. And if we don't make money, then we're not successful. So I know this is a different animal, but I would still apply those same principles and those same tactics to these visitors so that now we can captivate all the people that are coming and get their information and then try to communicate with them, not aggressively. I'm not saying we have to timeshare these people. I'm just saying that we should be far more engaging with that audience out there through our efforts to try to get them, more focused on not just Branson as a whole, but also things that they're actually interested in. If they start expressing interest in certain things, what those KPIs fully look like, obviously I'm getting into more strategy and details of it, but overarching would be, what's our newsletter subscribership? The other thing I put was a digital vacation guide. I know we have one and it's combined with our actual print vacation guide. I would like to see the vacation guide taken to another level in digital, where instead of just having a print guide that is also now put onto a PDF, slide, we can actually have a digital guide that has more content than what we're actually printing and mailing out. There's cost control there. Plus, we can put more technology into that digital guide to be able to give people more of what they want, to give them more experience, to incorporate video, to incorporate social, and to integrate other types of experiences for that visitor with a digital guide. And even from advertising sales, love them, hate them, wherever you feel, if we are doing them, that's also another place for revenue for the CVB to have different types of sponsorships or different types of engagements on the digital guide that maybe aren't in the paid guide, or maybe if you do a paid guide, you get a discount. I'll let them figure that part out. But there's a lot, I think, to that. And I think that would really help us move to a more engaging effort from our tax dollar standpoint to try to get these people, engaged in Branson, thinking Branson. And so I'd like to see those types of KPIs or that type of program at least looked at and considered for what we're already doing. And I figure it's a great time too. We've got a new website.
Yeah.
We got a lot of cool stuff coming up. I'm really excited about the direction of a lot of things we're doing. So I felt like those were a couple of key pieces that I just wanted to put out there for consideration.
Good input. Appreciate that. I think one of your comments, as it relates to we can't transact on or not transacting on the website today, I think we can still act like we're transacting because we want them to buy, right? Like at the end of the day. So, at the end of the day, whether it's we want them when they come to the website saying, "Hey, I want to come to Branson." So,
Well, and I don't know if it'd be beneficial to have a benefit for giving your email address. You get access to back end stuff that you wouldn't get, or interviews with stars, special videos that are only for, because I guarantee you all the entertainers in town are always willing to shoot, give, whatever. I mean, if you said, yeah, and by the way, every month you're going to get a special video for one of the stars, they'd all line up to do that, no problem. I mean, I think it's one thing to utilize the entertainers to the maximum of your ability in this town, because they are so willing to give of their time to promote this town. And what's amazing about our entertainers is they don't have to promote themselves. They will come, as they're willing to go and promote Branson. They don't care about themselves, their show. They know all ships rise by promoting all of Branson. So utilizing them to do those kind of back end things or whatever.
good input. Anything else? Tim, I don't know if you can hear us. It looks like you're on mute, but if I know you have any input, feel free to speak up. Okay, I guess we officially have the quorum, assuming Tim is there. To have, we're just kind of talking about strategies, goals. I don't know if you had anything new that you wanted to share. We had a couple of folks in here just throw a few additional ideas into the mix, primarily related around emails, SMS, and digital video guides and those kind of things. But
No, again, I think I go back to what we talked about the first session, like what is the purpose of our existence? It's statutory, but then beyond that, there's things that have to happen, contracting with a DMO, which we do, and a well-trained, well-versed DMO is the core of what we do, and then how we kind of interact with one another is how that mission and vision should be shaped. I think the question where there's a lot of gray areas is strategy, because a marketing plan is produced. And so being able to exercise good governance and oversight shouldn't be misinterpreted as action item tasking, because it's like a strategic plan for any given organization will hit big directional items, and then the folks that are on the front lines of that are gonna, propose a plan and execute to accomplish those objectives. So, and that comes from just my upbringing from the military, and then, in the school district, it's a 5-year strategic plan there. And so those are the models and the paradigm I've grown up under. So each of us have a different understanding, a different leadership philosophy. And so that's how I look at mission, vision, and strategy, just holistically.
Sue, you have any?
Not right now. I mean, we shared all mine at that last meeting.
I know on this meeting too, I'm curious, and if I missed it in the first part, I apologize. Has our teammates gone yet, or how far into this are we? Have we just gotten? I know we've got partners from MOC. There's board members here. There's our partners at CBP. What's the plan to roll that? And I think that was the spirit of the comments talking to Miss Pam during the last meeting, was to try to incorporate, feedback for this before the board takes a position or a stance, of what that looks like from the folks doing the work every day. I don't want to lead that. I don't know if that's your intent.
Yeah,
or what
no,
the
I
plan
think
is
that
in
was
order
the
of
idea.
succession
Is I
there.
think we were trying to have a discussion, and so I think Heather wanted to kind of hear if there was anything else, and so that's kind of what we were doing.
Yeah.
So
On this too, I like the marketing Ozark Mountain Christmas way in advance is super smart. I do feel like it gets, oh, where's Christmas? Let's go, and I'm very excited to see what happens with what Heather's got put together for the Hallmark Channel and things like that, where group sales are looking at that kind of stuff, and getting those people thinking about Branson, way early.
Another fair question just comes to my mind, because I try not to, like a way I've kind of grown up in business is try not to reinvent the wheel. Like, make yourself unique, but don't reinvent the wheel on things you don't need to reinvent. Is whatever we're doing currently or what we aspire to do within the confines of what, industry standard would be, but still being, there's great value. I've heard from smarter people than me in marketing and tourism that there needs to be a reason why Branson's you need to go visit Branson as opposed to any of our other peers in the field. So, staying within the wheelhouse on some things that won't cost us undue time, money, staff, labor, any of those factors, but maximizing our unique nature, empowerment, making folks feel empowered to make decisions and act on data-driven decisions, not hamstringing people to a rule book or procedural type nature that just consumes resources. Those are things that come to my mind, and that's where I would trust industry professionals to talk about that. And then from a governance perspective, that be taken into account in unison. That way, one's not dictating to the other what that relationship looks like.
Pam, Heather, you guys want to talk from the CVB standpoint or?
Sure. Heather and I've kind of been talking, so I'm gonna let her address some of these and we appreciate the opportunity to get to sit down together and discuss these before decisions are made. I think it's a vital piece of the process that we're working together instead of in opposition to each other, so.
So this is good timing because we're actually in the thick of planning the draft marketing budget because it's due to the TCD on August 1st. So we're really busy right now, and the more we get from today, the more it will help drive some decisions for the future. And we just wanted to share some sort of update strategy. Maybe it's helpful for everyone in the room. We do coordinate the TCD's marketing budget with the city's marketing budget. However, we don't have a number from the city right now. So the city budget will come at a later time to supplement alongside that. And we're working currently with just the TCED's budget because two separate entities. And this will be holistically done just with the TCED's budget in mind, knowing that if we kind of gauge what was done in years previously, those dollars will be reserved for the city and they'll kind of mirror each other. It won't be too drastically different. We have no problem sharing those. It's a public meeting that the city budget is shared at. It's televised as well, and everyone is invited to come to those also. There are no secrets there. It's all shared. Kathy has a really wonderful, clean document that outlines everything and mirrors the process with what we're doing for the TCED side. Looking at the group's budget breakdown for the highest possible return for all stakeholders. I know Chris mentioned in the last meeting that I'm getting smarter at this, and I believe our strategy is very clear. We are looking at every thing that we do this year and really showing the return on investment, whether this is worth our time, whether this is worth our attendance, our sponsorship, and then pivoting from there. And our sales team is going to be aggressive next year. So that will all be reflected in the plan and as well as the budget. You were all present, most of you were all present for the presentation from Cultivator when we talked about using demographics instead of showing commercials and content that's geared specifically for an activity, but instead looking at family, millennials, and seniors and drive it into those segments instead of by interest. So a glimpse of that was the Christmas pieces to show everything versus just showing a show related piece or just this kind of thing. And we will continue down that road. It sounded pretty, I would say we reached a really good consensus with the Cultivator team and the presentations and everyone in that room to say that's the direction that we want to take. We're working with the chiefs right now to maximize the use of all of the official designation content. We're still going back and forth with the chiefs over tailgate dates, all of the things. And currently, Ashley and I will be on a call with them tomorrow to talk about the 2 tailgate options that we have and the on-stage performance in the Ford tailgate section and how long of a time that will be. The first dates they threw out to us were, in our opinion, not good. It was in the middle of November and December. I don't think that those are prime for our tailgate times. We want when the sun is shining and it's warm outside, not when the sun is shining and it's 20 degrees outside. So I would think that our entertainers will agree.
Amen.
Yes. So what we're looking at initially, what they have proposed is that we will have more than a 20-minute set, but it would be potentially a 2-hour set to be on stage in the Ford tailgate section. So we're excited about what's to come with the Chiefs, and it is definitely a work in progress. It's been a lot of back and forth between myself and Bobby this week, helping them understand how destination marketing works and helping them understand that we're not Coca-Cola, we're not Budweiser. The return on investment is different, and how we gauge impact is different than a consumer product. And I think that they're learning a lot. And if anything, it's going to give them tools in their house for what they do with their decision-making moving forward. We do market Ozark Mountain Christmas before November 1st.
Mhm.
And as you may all remember in our schedule for this year, we have it slated to begin marketing and promoting Ozark Mountain Christmas at the end of September. This is a one-off, the Hallmark opportunity. And what we're proposing for next year's budget will include more Hallmark so that we would do Christmas in July for Hallmark ongoing. Because we feel we don't want to assume that this Hallmark campaign for 6 weeks is going to be earth shattering, but we do know that it's the market for Christmas and that's a place where we should be. And with this relationship established now with Hallmark, it gives us a good opportunity to now get our foot in the door with bigger campaigns and really target it and segment it and take advantage of some of their tools and demographics as well. We obviously are launching a new website and we are using stakeholder input. We included all stakeholders were invited to attend those website interviews. And we will be sharing a website sitemap for the new website at next MOC meeting. It's extensive. It's not if you've gone through a website project, it's not exciting looking at the sitemap. So don't get excited, but it will give you an idea of the types of meetings that we're sitting in and how we're fine tooth combing things and going through the detail and making sure that it addresses our problem areas, but then also focuses on new areas. And some of those areas that we've noticed a weakness are not having a real defined sports category, not having a real defined groups meetings category, not having a real veterans military focus piece. And these new microsites within the website will identify them and set them apart so that they then become marketing tools for each of those departments to be able to say, go to this section of our site and it's specifically for those genres of what we do in the DMO world. So we're really excited about it. This piece is painstaking. It's not, our meeting yesterday was an hour long and it's clicking through sitemaps and going and looking at other destinations and comparing their sitemaps and looking at blogs and how does the blog look and what do we like or not like about the blog and what are the tools and assets that we feel like we need. And our interactive map is not interactive. If you've taken a look at it lately, we can call it, it's sad. So we've been comparing across the country, even internationally, integrated maps that are more engaging and more fun and show off our destinations. So all of that is in the works. And as things start to be ready to be shown, by all means, they will be shown. Stakeholder input is important and it will continue to be part of the process. Raising brand awareness of Branson by 3 points, not having seen any history of any metrics of how this is being done for the destination. I can tell you how other destinations are doing it, and this is not an industry trend so much as it used to be. I feel like this is very much a dated practice, but if it's something of interest, we can look into companies that can offer that platform and find out the pricing and make sure that we start down that road. We do believe we take a strategic look at the breakdown of media based on everything, not just demographics and seasonality, and that will continue to be part of our strategy. As you all have maybe ad nauseum seen, our internal strategic plan that we have shared repeatedly in monthly reports is at our desks. It's on our dry erase boards showing us what we do and the things that drive what we do. And data-focused decision-making has its own box there. And we made some updates to ours using consistent reporting for in-market visitation through our data platforms to show areas of interest, repeat visitation targets, distance traveled for new market research, and all of this is all in our strategy document and will continue to be updated. And as we get more information from today and ongoing, we will keep making those updates. And our team, like I mentioned before, is hard at work with our draft marketing plan, looking at what we're doing, where we can increase ROI, how we can make the biggest impact, but also be as fiscally responsible with these tax dollars as possible, and also still deliver transparency and numbers, all with fun and excitement, because it's travel and tourism and it's fun.
Megan.
So that's just a glimpse of what we have going on.
So Heather, would it be safe to say that in general, either you're doing most of this stuff or you don't have a problem with most of it? Except the only one I heard that was maybe a question mark was the whole brand awareness, like, because we were not doing that necessarily today. We have measured it in the past, but if I'm summarizing what you said, is that a fair assessment? And how I just said that was maybe that's the questionable one, and the other stuff is.
Absolutely. all of the items are on track, and they have been addressed. We've been addressing them for the nearly 1 year that I've been here, and they've also been addressed in our strategic plan that we have openly shared for the last 6+ months. And we will continue to share and make sure that everyone's aware of them. And I think at the end of the day, when I think about destination marketing and the destinations I've worked with, and the partnership and the ability to work with the stakeholders, what makes a healthy destination is collaboration rather than a feeling of not competitiveness, but almost territorial, as if we are here on someone else's ground, but that's not what we're here for. We're here in the destination to help make the destination better, to help drive economic impact, to help make it as successful as possible. We're not against anyone. We're with, and we want to be viewed as partners in all of it across the board. And contrary to the way I know that the past is the past, and there were challenges, there were issues of transparency, there were problems with budget sharing, there were so many things, but there is no smoking gun. We're here to do a job. We have a contract. We're here to provide services, hopefully exceed expectations. We're imperfect people. We will make mistakes, as all of us will. We're here to do the contracted job that we've been contracted to do. And we happen to like what we do also. And we believe, and I know that the more we can do this cohesively together in a spirit of collaboration rather than a spirit of defense, we will have a healthier destination for everyone long-term in the future. If instead of feeling as if we caught you in this, you've done this, you didn't do this, but instead, how can we all work together better to make it better? That will drive the future success of Branson and the Lakes area destination.
And can I just say, in the 6 months I've been involved, I've been very impressed. The one thing that's impressed me, especially about Heather, is that when something's brought up, it is never defensive. It's never that she thinks anyone's questioning her ability or what she's doing. She listens with open ears and takes it in. And then if she disagrees, she explains what her position is in a very well thought out way. It's just, it's very, very much impressed me, how my last 6 months of being involved in the MOC, I have been very impressed with at least how everything has been gone and how much they pay attention to what we have to say as marketing oversight people.
Heather, if the raising the brand awareness is kind of old fashioned, is there something else we should be doing maybe that would accomplish that objective without saying what's on this paper right now?
Yeah, that's a good question, Sue. And we actually got a quote already for visitor sentiment
Okay.
and talking about, it's a different way to say satisfaction survey,
Okay.
basically. And we had pricing for it for this year, but we did not have money in the budget, so it will be part of 2026.
Okay.
And we will definitely have that in there. And I think it'll be really interesting for everyone to be able to gauge it and see. And it's nice, they'll take the segments that we asked for, family, millennial, seniors, and do that sentiment survey along with it so that we really get some information based on decision-making for travel. And if they're picking a different location, why are they picking that location? What made them right? Don't we all want to know that? And then I think another piece that goes along with that is a resident sentiment survey as well, because contrary to, I know this is questionable too, but in really successful destinations, caring about your residents is crucial. And the more you care about your residents and you get their sentiment as well and know what your pain points are, what they like, what they don't like, what they consider important for visitors, not important for them as residents, it really helps. So if we can also tie in that resident sentiment satisfaction along with it, and this company that we found, and we went kind of through not an official RFP process, but we went through a process where we reached out to see who could do all of those things. We found an excellent vendor who does that.
So do we have benchmarks for that, or is this gonna be, we're gonna be starting with this and then we're gonna build from there, or how?
This will be unique, I
Okay.
think. So I can look back historically, Ashley and I can get together on that and see what's been done in the past and then pull what we can to
Okay.
measure that with. But I think that this will be new and exciting to go off of.
Yeah, I think on the brand awareness, I think if you go back and look somewhere, and I've got it somewhere, I just have to dig, it's, I think H2R was doing it where I think the trend had fallen, and I think some of that had been because we, after COVID, instead of doing national advertising, we pulled in to regional advertising. And so, and these numbers may not be right in the document, and so don't hold me to that. We need to verify that, but I think, of course, before they ever buy, they got to be aware of what Branson even is. And so that's where my premise was in all this. And I meet people every day, they just don't have any idea what Branson is. And I always, at that point, I'm going, are you on the East Coast or the West Coast? Because that's typically what I think. And some of it is that way. And then there's some people that they're in the Midwest and they still don't know what Branson is. And so that's why I was like, I think we've got to make sure people are aware of the brand, and and I don't, maybe there's a different or new way to do it, or maybe we don't do it at all, but I think that's why we have the discussion to say, what does that look like? I don't, does anybody else have any anecdotal, like just in your own experiences out there where you're talking to people that they just don't even have a clue what Branson is? Or?
I remember, and this is decades ago, the head marketing officer at Silver Dollar City was a guy named Ray Canaday. You've probably heard about him. And he would tell us in our meetings, everybody's aware of Silver Dollar City. Everybody's aware. Everybody knows what Silver Dollar City is. And I remember when I came down here, I kept seeing all these signs and I went, what the heck is Silver Dollar City? I had no idea. And I was living in a border state. I was in Iowa and had no idea what Silver Dollar City was. So I think sometimes we get maybe a little pompous and think everybody knows because we're doing such a great job, and people really don't. I mean, there's opportunity out there that we're not capitalizing on sometimes.
I think that's a good point. And I think the one thing we do need to remember is that the further we spread our dollars, the more it costs. Right. And the further we spread our dollars, the less people we reach. So we've got to be really strategic with it. And
It's a good.
I know I heard over the phone at last week's work session, even reaching international and coming from a destination that received 14% of our visitation was international. Missouri, it's 2%. We are a flyover state, and having made that decision for 4 destinations and worked with a state before, I can tell you how expensive it is to reach the international market, and it's a commitment of at least a decade. So you want at least a minimum of $800,000 to start reaching your international market, and even then, it's targeted countries and typically 3, no less, no more.
Well, if Canada's part of the United States, that'll be one less we have to do.
So
Okay.
one thing that for brand awareness or Branson awareness, one thing that used to happen in the olden days, before even I was here, is that we were such a short market time that the shows would actually pack up for 6 months and go around town, around the United States, do shows. And that actually did a lot of brand awareness. We don't do that right now because of fear of loss, like the Iowa State Fair, for example. There's a lot of awareness there, those kind of things like that. But shows don't have the time, effort, or risk to we can't afford it. We don't have any extra margins at all to risk going, but I don't think it costs to go, in the sense of, I mean, that there's probably tours and things that pay well enough to do that it could break even to send them to Iowa State Fair, to actually just to a place. So let's say, I mean, I'm just talking, but let's say there's a big auditorium, you know, that a certain show could be booked into, and it cost, you know, $5,000 to book it. The show can't take that risk of selling tickets and not doing it, do the marketing and not doing it.
Yeah.
But it could be a very small cost for the city of Branson to send them to do it and pay them not a lot of money to do it. The show doesn't need a ton of money. It just can't take the risk to do it. And building up the brand awareness, because that is a bunch of advertisement that's done that got paid for by the concert itself. You know what I'm saying? Or I know that a lot of the places like the fairs and whatever, they pay for groups to come. So if that can be, we don't have time to coordinate it. If that gets coordinated, you go, hey, we can send you up there. You're going to get not a lot of money to do this. You're helping Branson by going here and performing there. But that way, Branson is seen here, there, whatever. And I think you could get a lot of bang for your buck in getting the performers out in front of people like we used to, because that was our outbound marketing for forever. Was the shows toured, Shoji toured, and you saw Branson everywhere, and it became a style. It's a Branson style show that people copy. So it's one of those things that we don't do or utilize, and I don't know how that would go about, but it's just an idea I had of that the shows could be ambassadors sent out. And it can be off season, on season, short trips, whatever. And it doesn't have to be like, if the show's going, well, I need so much money. Don't use those people. They're too, whatever. Make it where it's very cost effective shows that go to do this. And like, basically, hey, you're not making any money from this really. You're covering your cost. You're covering your van to go. Okay. But you're going to be an ambassador for Branson there. And like I said, the entertainers are here to volunteer. They really are. They go and they show up at breakfast rooms. They show up at mixers for free. They do all this stuff for free. The city and the CVB can utilize these entertainers because they're already working for free to do it, because they want to promote Branson. So,
Did I see a hand over here? Yeah, Glenn, did you?
Yeah, I shared this with Heather once before. You asked about anecdotal stories of brand awareness. I had a group of pastors in town for a conference, and the majority of the pastors were coming from Minneapolis. They had no idea of the cheap flights down here, and they had never been to Branson. And when they got down here and we started showing them around town, they were just blown away. They had no idea about Branson. And I always found that sort of doubly ironic because here they were flying with $80 tickets direct from Minneapolis to Branson Airport. They wouldn't have come except for the invitation for this pastors conference. The good news is 2 of them have come back with their families now to do their vacations down here. So I think there's validity to, a brand awareness question, even in the heart of our market, where it's still drivable or cheap flyable. There's still a lot of ways to go to get better brand awareness. But I agree, it's marketing dollars in the end is what's going to drive that brand awareness.
Graham, did you have something?
Well, I was gonna ask on other destinations specifically for brand awareness, and I know you're looking at tools and you think you found something that's great. I mean, how are other destinations measuring now, or are they not? Are they saying, we're just, we're just gonna throw it at the wall, or what's their method on these other destinations? And second question was of whether they compete with us or not. What destinations are you looking at as like they're really doing a good job, or they're really doing some things right, and you guys are kind of taking a few things from their playbook?
Yeah, so I would say other destinations, it's not as much the brand awareness piece as much as it is a visitor sentiment and what's driving them to make a decision to choose the destination. And the success measures are all in spending. It's visitation numbers, tracking it by their data tools, and tax revenue spending. That's your best way to tell, right?
Sure.
And, I'll just give a little example of Arizona. The north rim of the Grand Canyon is on fire right now. And everyone thinks that the Grand Canyon is on fire, not understanding how vast the canyon is and that you can stand on the south side and look at the north side and see it burning and watching these historic buildings burn down. So everyone is canceling their trips to the Grand Canyon, and how that is impacting all of the destinations in northern Arizona. And they are facing right now, the amount of calls I've received from friends and colleagues in the industry in Arizona, it's full on panic mode because the economy went from a steady grade to an absolute plummet. And that's measured in their tax revenue. Number one, you've got communities panicking over how they are going to, make budgets because that's not what they foresaw with a natural disaster. So your sentiment is big, but it's also education of people understanding where is Branson, going back to Chris's point. If we asked the average East Coaster, West Coaster to find Missouri on a map, first of all, can they do it? Where would it be? And then from there, where's Branson in the state of Missouri? So all of that piled in together through a platform to be able to tell us, they do the work. We tell them what we want out of it. And we need to know target markets, areas where the education is better in terms of, I know where Missouri is on a map. If they do know where Missouri is on the map, and they do know about Branson, what do they know about it? Is it the live entertainment capital of Missouri that the governor proclaimed? Do they know that? Is it the home of Silver Dollar City? What do they know about Branson? Do they know about the lakes? So it's that piece of really dialing down and finding out how in tune is the average TV watcher, doom scroller on social media, and then we can build an even more in-depth strategy from that. So using the information as it starts to come in 2026 can also help us pivot for the remainder of 2026 with that information, but then use it for years to come. Other destinations that we have been looking at in our call with Granicus Simple View this week, Park City, Utah, Savannah, Georgia, Telluride was one of them, Colorado Springs, Greenville, Washington, DC. It was extensive for not only their website and what they're doing on their sites, but how they're capturing content and how they're capturing, like you mentioned before, email. What are they doing with it? How are they serving? And I think that's a big area of focus for us for next year too, is instead of it just being passive and it's just a place to come and look and see pretty pictures and video, but we want them to dive deeper into it. And then we start to get more from them.
Are you looking at ways to get users sharing content, ways to really,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For
I'm
sure.
gonna look at a lot of, just to get people to do a lot of the work for us, to
Absolutely.
go out and be our ambassadors and go out and grab great pictures and content, and share it. I mean, that's what people want now.
100%.
8 seconds of quick, wow. Look at
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And our ask to the chiefs, I'm not giving up on this ask to the chiefs. If they talk about us on their social media, they're tired of it right now. I will tell you that. I think I made them mad yesterday because I was like, look, what will it take for you to tell our story on the Chiefs platform? This is all we're asking. We'll give you the content. We'll tell you what to do. We'll tell you how to say it. Just one quick post. So we're talking about it tomorrow. Because think of how far that would go.
Yeah.
It's far greater than the stadium, right?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Chris.
Right.
Yes.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
You know, in 2012, we had the Leap Day tornado here in Branson. And Kansas City and St. Louis jumped on the opportunity to say that Branson was closed and you need to come here. This sounds terrible, but can we capitalize on this deal out there in the Grand Canyon? That's terrible, but
Yeah, I mean, that's a tricky one because stepping on any other destination when they're down is never an option that I like to take.
you know, but
So
They did it
what
to
that
us.
means is that we just serve more content
Mhm.
to people that we know are inclined to plan Arizona vacation.
Mm.
And we serve up content based on search terms.
Well, and that comes back to, once again, your target markets and, the person that's going from California to the Grand Canyon is probably not our best
Right.
target to come here. Now, that doesn't mean they can't, but, I call it low hanging fruit,
Mhm.
right? You have, and when Heather's talking about international, like typically they're going to the East or West Coast first normally, and then they can get there easily. It gets a little harder when you're trying to come to Branson, Missouri. And so I think that's where we have to, as a group, have to balance out that spend to drive the most people here. That doesn't mean you can't go into new markets and salt them, so to say, but we got to be really smart on how we do that. Good discussion. Drew, any other comments or questions?
I was just, something Alex hit on earlier that I was just gonna kind of double down on, which was not necessarily reinventing the wheel. With Branson being a drive-to destination, and I mean, we've tried with the airport challenges there for sure. Got Allegiant, probably the best thing we ever had in Springfield, but also have other flights coming in, but very expensive. It's definitely more limited. We're a drive-to destination. I can't say how many people I've talked to. I have not been flying around lately traveling, but I have plenty of people I know that have, and I've yet to find anybody who's like had a flight on time. Like missing connection flights. Like it sounds like an absolute disaster out there. Where if Allegiant doesn't have a direct flight there, I don't even know if I want to go. I'll probably just drive. And so Branson being a drive-to destination for over half the U.S. and I mean being this big market that we do have access to that apparently some still don't even know exist, and not reinventing the wheel completely. Remember, we're a drive-to destination. Remember that flying is absolute chaos right now and it's expensive. And so trying to hammer on places to get people to fly in versus places where they can drive, I think it still should, just for what it's worth, absolutely still be a primary focus for us. I'm not saying we can't go to areas that fly in, obviously. We'll go where the demand is and we'll go build demand where we think there's a great opportunity. But we are a drive-to destination for a very good drive-to destination. I mean, there's a lot of stuff along the way to stop and enjoy and see, and can tell those stories too. But I just think that's important, especially when airlines are expensive and flying seems like chaos. And that's what I'm using in one of my commercials right now. The other thing that is actually still surprising is I've yet to, that I've listened to or summarized or checked, but we get about 100 to 150 calls a week from TV and radio stuff that I do. It's mostly random stuff, just cheap stuff, but for people to get a guide and find out about our vacation to Branson. And my whole ad is like, you don't have to go wait in lines and fly on a plane, take a great vacation for your family. In fact, we've got Branson and it just goes on about that. But anyways, says to call in, ask about a guide, and ask about our specials on vacations. But every single person wants it mailed. We said, oh, we're gonna email it to you, that we have an instant. No, we want it mailed. We want something in our hands.
They like paper.
So like, there's still that demographic. And I think, part of it's TV and radio too, but there's still a huge demographic that just wants a guide. And as much as I love the digital guide, and I am promoting that absolutely, I still think we need to also remember there is a lot of people that come to Branson, that love Branson, that are in these communities, farm communities, surrounding areas that drive here, that want something in their hands. They want to get it. They want it to show up in the mailbox. They want to look at it. They want to have it. Like, I don't personally identify with that as well, but I'm not our primary target customer. But that is important. So I think it's good that we don't forget that either. As part of our core group out there still, at least the ones that spend the money. Like Silver City, people want to come to the theme park for a weekend, but really our money is on these older demographics that still like to come for long extended time, have expendable money, can vacation for more than a weekend, can come help fill our midweeks, can help see more than 1 or 2 or 3 shows. Those are really important people for our community and our destination. It wasn't so long ago, and it probably still is for a lot of people, where, we worked all year to get to the fall to hopefully finally make some money. We weren't break even in June, July, we were getting there, and then really come September was like, oh my gosh, I really hope next couple of months we can make $50. And that was it. It was all about that crowd. We want them to stay longer. We want the average length of stay to be 3.5, 4, 5 nights, not 2, 2.1, 2.2. And that's an important demographic. And they also apparently like to just get something in the mail and have a guy to look at. So just for what it's worth.
So let me see if I can rephrase what you just said a little bit
Yeah,
different.
before it's all over. Word salad.
Based on the season, which I put in here, there's an older demographic we need to make sure we need to be targeting that can travel beyond the weekend.
I believe so. Yeah, 100%.
No, I agree with you. And it's in there, and that's why I was, I think I say, for lack of a better word, old people do come in here in the summer, but as far as the total, there's a lot less of them compared to families. They're still coming. But we know in other seasons, it definitely skews more older. And I'm like, I don't have any problem with an old person because they got the time and they got the money.
Correct.
And so, and old's probably not the right way to say it, but you guys know what I'm saying here internally, right? Mature people.
What is our,
Mature people.
Hunter, what is the definition, or what's the age brackets of millennial family, seniors?
So the way Cultivator broke it out is families with children 17 and younger.
Okay, good.
And then the millennial category, they did no children. And then the seniors, they did age, I believe, 57 and higher, based on history of visitation numbers.
That seemed to be the age that they started traveling to Branson.
Yeah, when they started to become empty nesters, they started to not have kids in the household. They could travel a Sunday through Thursday and want to be around when there's less kids in attendance at things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point about the vacation guide, Drew. We were tracking and trending that we were going to show that we weren't mailing out as many vacation guides, and we're mailing less, but we're distributing more all along the I-44 corridor and in Texas and in Oklahoma. So we're doing a different distribution program this year, and we're distributing more in all of those roadside vacation visitor center spots to pick up the guide. So we would anticipate we're going to run out this year of vacation guides. And next year we will need to increase the amount, not only knowing that it's the 250th and it'll be a little bit more special, but just anticipating the success of that distribution. Why wouldn't we increase our distribution and reach more points if it's working and people are getting the guides?
So while we're talking about guides, I was in Dallas area at a hotel and there was a guide in there and I was moving to another hotel. And so, I already checked into that other hotel and was talking to the girl and she didn't know anything about Branson. So I got the guide from that hotel and I took it over to her and gave it to her. I was like, here's your guide so you can learn about Branson. So anyway, that's my guide story, but it was, it wasn't here. And so, I mean, there could be all kinds of people at that hotel in Dallas, getting those guides. So, Jamie, I'm going to call on you to see if you have any comments because you've been kind of quiet over there, and I just sometimes the quiet person.
I'm in a different spot because in my business, you count on local people too. So it's just, I mean, I see when you're trying, the visitation stuff. So, we're getting some of those people that may just be here 2 or 3 days. And cultivators missing the mark because starting when I was about 50, we started looking for those Sunday through Thursday vacations in different places. So getting a little too old. So, but no, I mean, there's a myriad of things to be involved in. So, I mean, it's just.
Well, and it's, retail, you may see things totally different than some of the rest of us. So
It can be, yeah.
And of course, a lot of our tax is generated from retail. So I think anytime you can give us any insight, feel free to share that.
And I did leave off a segment, empty nesters is 45 to 64.
There we go.
Seniors are 65 higher. I knew I was
Oh,
missing a
okay.
segment.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's empty nesters
Mhm.
section
Yeah,
so it's empty nesters is, what'd you say?
45 to 64.
Yeah.
And then you have seniors.
65 and higher.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so, okay, that makes sense. It's good.
Mhm.
So it's family, I'm sorry, I'm just
Yeah,
recapping,
families.
because I get this in my mind messed up.
Yep,
Fam-
households with children 17 or younger.
Okay.
And then households without children 17 or younger is considered the millennials. And then empty nesters are the 45 to 64, seniors 65 to 85.
But
So,
65 and up.
85 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we're basically in what our goal is, we're crafting commercials for each one of those. That's great because the 45-year-old will not want to identify with the 75-year-old and then vice versa. So that's very smart. That's very smart. This is sentiment, and I don't know if you talked about locals. Something I get complaints about, and I don't know that we can do anything about this. Some of our customer service in this town is pretty atrocious. And it's not as bad as other tourist towns have. Like up at Lake of the Ozarks, they have NF something, no more tourist. I'm thinking, wow, what a great attitude you have for a tourist town, that's terrible. Luckily, our locals don't have that attitude. But I don't know that like a lot, we haven't, I don't know how to help if there is anything we can help. But if we're reaching out to locals and local sentiment and things like that, I work on customer service all the time. I know Silver Dollar City works. I know Tango. Everyone works on it all the time. But there's some. I don't know if we can get it where we're encouraging people to be as friendly as we should be.
Right.
Because COVID hurt customer service across the board.
Mhm.
Everyone just got an attitude and a problem, and it was understandable. I mean, it was world was falling apart. But some places have done that, some places haven't. But I have heard quite a few people saying that when you go to Disney, now again, that's one company running everything. The customer service blows you away. And we're not always seeing that with it. And that's something that drives people back to individual businesses, but to overall. And I don't know that there's anything we can do about that, but I just.
Internally, we've talked about creating a customer service course that would be something that employers could put their employees through, or individual employees could sign up for, and it would be a course presented by Chamber of Commerce and CVB.
Sure.
It wouldn't mean that you have to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce to
Yeah,
participate,
participate.
but we've talked about it being almost like our Lakes area leadership that goes on, but this would be specific for customer service, where each month would be different, and there would be a piece on how to talk to the media. If you get a travel writer that's sitting in your seat and you're
Yeah,
not the manager, you're not the boss, but you've got a journalist that's shown up and wants to write a story. How do you talk to them? What do you say? What do you do to talk about your town?
That's
And,
great.
and then another one that's strictly focused on showing off and showing that you love where you live. And
Yes.
being able to talk with accuracy about the things that are happening in your community. So if that's something that you all think would be of interest, then that was one of the first things I went to Pam with was, what if we did this customer service training course, and it would be a nominal fee that people could pay to be part of it, and they get a certificate of completion at the end. And it would be something that employers valued and thought, wow, my employee took 6 months, 9 months, whatever it is, to complete this course, and they got their certificate. That could be used on a resume, an application, and it
Sure.
would be something that they could have pride in, and it could be of value to the destination.
how do you get the people to, I mean, like, I guess that's the question is, a lot of times you get all this wonderful content and no one
Exactly.
wants it or takes it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's one of those things that you almost co-opt the business owners
Yep.
to say, all right, guys, y'all are doing this.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's a reward for either doing it or that, hey, we send out secret shoppers and whatever. And like, by the way, the customer service award this month goes to Tanger
Yeah.
and whatever, and all their employees get, a free Andy's
Yeah,
ice
I
cream,
think we could
whatever.
get, I
Yeah.
think we could get creative with it, and I think if we got employers who wanted their entire team to go through it, it could be something that's offered that way, but it could also be, I've done it in former chambers of commerce where it's a lunch and learn session
Sure.
where they come for the day, they bring their lunch, and they're put through a training course of how to pick up the phone and answer it and talk about your business and the actual testing of it in action.
Nice.
So
Mhm.
all the way to, being on camera, everything. So we could take it really, really detailed, and it could be something that businesses sign up for, and we can offer a limited run for the first 6 months of 2026 and see what the success rate is. And then that is something that becomes who can win the award for best customer service
Yeah,
in Branson. And that's something that the city could, herald and champion amongst businesses.
right. Because I think competition between businesses is like I had same vein as when we were doing the Ozark Mountain Christmas, is try to get businesses to do it by having an award for best business, like you do
Yeah.
with the HOAs and whatever, where there's 10 different awards. It's best of this, best of that. So there's more to give out,
Right.
but it makes the person go, you know what? Someone noticed that
Take
we're,
pride in it.
yeah, we're trying hard, and someone actually looked and cared about it. And so I don't know. I just something.
I think, in the past year, Ed Michelle, I don't know if any of you remember
I was
Ed.
gonna ask you. if you
Ed had a thing, he called it the like PhD, and it was, they did a trainer in the community. And I remember going out to the Showboat Bransonville for
That's where
myself
I
for a
had that.
training.
Terry Tucker.
Terry was
Yeah.
involved in that. And so I think the Chamber CVB has got an excellent opportunity to be a leader in training our community about our core values, our brand. And that doesn't mean you're gonna have everybody, but that's okay. If you have some, that's better than nothing, right? And so I think there's a huge opportunity there. Years ago, and I've got it somewhere, we did this thing called, and I think Heather, your thing about resident sentiment is highly important because Branson is the residents, you know, at the end of the day.
Yes.
And so how do we get everybody on the same page? That's tough when you don't control, like if it's your own company, you can control it. But it's 3,000 companies, it becomes much harder. But we created this thing called, I think it was called the Branson Promise. And we did this video over at Jim Stafford's theater. And it was about who we were. And we worked on trying to brand internally. And I think it worked great for a while. Then it, you know, it got dropped. Different people come in, you know, those kind of things. But it was an internal document that's like, here's who we are as Branson. It was good. And I, you know, some of that came out of what Sterling did way back in the day. That's how some of that came out of, because if you're going to have a brand out there, you also got to make sure that whatever that brand is, you actually deliver on it once people get here. And it, you know, for so long, people said, man, the people are so much more friendly here than other places, you know, and, but there's also people that move in here that have no concept of what we got to brand. We always used to use the term Bransonize. We got to Bransonize.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think you, that's, and I know you guys have done some training recently, and I remember, I guess was it earlier this year where you guys had the thing for the lodging industry about SIDA, and there was a lot of people there, and I was like, this is great because it had been really such a long time since we had any meetings like that. So I think you guys have a great opportunity as it relates to that. Okay, it's 4:30. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. We can keep talking. I want to make sure, even if you're a guest, if you've got any input, I know we've got two guys that, do you have any?
I've got something to say as it regards to customer service in town. I mean, this is a town I say to Mike Crew all the time. This is one of the only places, you know, one of the few places in America where people are coming just to have a good time. If we can bring that same energy to the workplace, it's all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And I roll based on those reviews that we see, good stories, you know, word of mouth that I hear from guests as they're on their way out or stopping me on the way, you know, from place to place. So bringing that energy of you're here to have fun. Why should I be an exception to that? I'm going to have fun at work with you, you know, and I think that creates an environment that people want to return to.
Good input.
Yeah.
One of the things, I'm going to just comment on the strategies and goals that we've talked about a little bit today. This wasn't meant to be an all-encompassing document or the only things, because I'm sure there's lots of other stuff that, whether it's PR or advertise, whatever, these were just a few ideas. And so I would suspect that there'll be a lot more goals and strategies that will come from the CBB that haven't been discussed here today. And I think at that point, what I'm excited about is we haven't had a marketing plan or a budget upon August 1st, and I don't know how many years. I'm just being honest with you, and I'm excited because I think I'm hearing y'all are working to get to that point, and so I'm excited because I think what it does is, and when we say draft, we'll have literally 2 or 3 months to refine it, and a lot of times we've been under the gun and behind. And that's never a good situation. And so I'm excited because I feel like we're kind of, and it's not perfect. We're still working this, right? And that's why we're having this work session, because we're trying to, how does this all flow? But the more we can get input and refine things without doing it all at the last minute, the better we're going to be next year. So I'm excited from that perspective. I will tell you, I'm not perfect at all this, and if there's better ways to do things, and we're open to that. We've created and most all of you should have it, but we have a procedures document and a timeline that's not set in stone. So if there's if we need to adjust things going forward, we can do that. If there's better ways to do that, we kind of try to look at that on an annual basis. We don't go look at it every month, but even as we start thinking about next year, if there's stuff that needs to change, and that's we try to systemize the process as well, right? So that there's a structure and a system so that no matter who's in these board seats, it doesn't, the process keeps happening. You know, it's kind of like, I look at it like a McDonald's or a, Wendy's, like you get the same thing wherever you go. And I think a lot of boards get too focused on who's in the spots, right? And we got to get where this organization, no matter who's the board, who's the MOC, all of that it keeps running, it keeps moving. There's too many millions of dollars on the line for it not to. Just know, everybody know that if you see something that can be improved, share it, let us know, give me a call Angela, call Kurt, call a board member, call Heather. And that's where a lot of times I'm looking at is constantly, how do we keep improving? We can't rest on our past success because that's in the past. We got to keep going to the future. So, anything else on this? Yes, John.
Chris, I'll just bring up the fact as an entertainer here in town, I think Chris pointed a good point. Your entertainers can be some of your biggest ambassadors. But I will tell you, from a lot of the entertainers in town, we feel disconnected with the town. And we feel like we're on our own. And I'll give an example of that. Our show's a small show in town. Probably most of you have never heard of us before. We've been here 11 years. But I do 75 to 100 road dates a year. And in every show on the road, I mention Branson, Missouri. I tell them where I play, what our season is, what our schedule is. Chris brought up the idea of going to fairs. So let me give you an example of something that can be done. McAllen, Texas and South Texas in January and February, most of us entertainers are sitting here doing nothing. We're looking for stuff to do. They have a McAllen Convention Center. Put 2 or 3 shows together and go down and rent the convention center and see how many of those older, mature people who come to Branson anyways, you can pack into a theater. Spend the money. I can't do it on my own. I don't think Chris can do it on his own, but you put CJ, us, Doug, just an example. Hey, we're going to do a Branson style show. Go down there, promote it, see what you get. Have the CVB down there. Tell them what's coming up, what's going to happen. That's just an example. I think you're missing a key part, and I say, the town, in that the entertainers can be your strongest ambassadors. I hear this all the time. Well, you don't have the stars anymore. You don't have Mickey Gilley. You don't have Mel Tillis. Well, let's create stars. The Petersons have almost 250 million views on Facebook. And they're going to Germany, just got back from New Zealand. These guys are international on their own. I do 100 dates a year on the road and still do 116 shows here in town. And so you can tap into that. And as Chris says, we don't mind doing it. I just don't have the funds to go and promote myself to get nothing out of it in the back end, if that makes sense. So, hey, pay my cost and tell me to go perform and I'll go.
And I think on the other side of that is it actually is a zero-sum game to the budget because the ticket sales. It's the risk reward thing. We can't take the risk. We don't even need the reward. Going out and promoting Branson's our reward. So it's the risk reward thing. I think it can be almost a zero budget item and you get a positive.
It's a really interesting concept because if you took it as, hey, we're going to come entertain, but we're also going to sell the destination, so you come back for a week's vacation or whatever. I'm on to what you're saying.
Ball Numbers did it with Y'all Come. That's exactly how they built what they've got. Presley's have built it now through RFD-TV is what they've used to do the exact same thing. And I just think there's a missing opportunity with some of the entertainers. And as Chris said, if the shows don't want to go, they don't want to take that and do that, then that's fine. There are plenty of us in town who would gladly go represent Branson just to get people, because we believe that if Branson is strong, then we will be strong. If Branson dies, then I've got to go on the road 270 dates a year, and I really don't want to do that.
Yeah. I lived the life you're talking about for the first 12 years that I was married. My husband, musician, 29 years in Branson. End of October, he got on the bus.
Yep.
They came back in April to rehearse, to put in a new show. They'd be gone. Usually about 15 days was the longest stretch, and sometimes it was a 4-day weekend, whatever. But all over Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, McAllen, Texas was always on the schedule. Florida, there's places in Florida as well, Kansas, Texas, I mean, everywhere. So, but, I mean, they done it on their own and basically they advertised Branson, but they captured, like, when people would come to their shows and they would find out, where are you from? How could we bring our show to you? And a lot of times, the people sitting in the seats that come to see a show, you ask them, how could we bring our show to you? They go back and they do all the work. Everywhere they went, Maurice, Iowa, every year for 3 years, they never had to buy a meal because everybody in all the little German cooks, little German lady cooks came and they cooked for them for 3 days. And I mean, and then they came to the show. All the people from Maurice would come to the show. So, you know,
And pay to
like,
come see
there's
the
an
show.
opportunity. And I was listening to Clay talk about how he sends Tony to the churches are really big right now. He said, I keep him on the road all the time, going to the churches and getting them and they're coming and they're showing up at his show. So, again, just ways that you can think of if you really want to do this, there's ways that you can get it done because it's a guaranteed fee for you all to come, so it's not out of pocket. And a lot of times they do some extra stuff just to get you, but they're very loyal and they will come back.
If you're coming from Branson as a representative of Branson, you have the doors, like I do 80% of our stuff is churches. I haven't made a cold call in 6 years and I'm still doing 75 to 100 dates a year. But if you do it as Branson, you get TV, you get radio. Hey, we'll do it, we'll do an interview and we won't just talk about us. We'll talk about what's there to do in Branson. Hey, we're getting ready for Ozark Mountain Christmas and, make sure you come and be a part of that. Veterans Week, all of that stuff can be done. The entertainers will gladly do that if we don't have to take the risk because we take, the hit on some of that. I do it now. I go out and if we don't have a crowd, whatever it is. But if you had the city behind it, it would be a whole lot easier than all us. And back then, when Ball Knobbers did it, you only had 10 shows here in town, and now you got 100. So how do you do that? But I think there's a possibility to really use the entertainer as your ambassadors in these other cities.
I mean, and we've got a ton of people. I mean, Dean Z just left, right? And
Mhm.
he
Right.
just leave to go. I mean, so Dean Z is going places. You got the Duttons that go to Arizona or Utah or wherever every year, and they're doing shows there. And you've got, all the shows that are out where maybe it's having a meeting with the people that do go on the road in the winter to come together and say, how can we promote our destination? What tools can we give you if you're already going out there? How can we help you? Can we help you with a press release or can we help you with this? Maybe it's a way to dip our toes in.
Even the travel guide, I just asked him, how can I get some for our table? We're on the road every week,
That's true. Yeah,
and if it's sitting there along with my rack card, I don't have a problem with that.
that's right. Yeah.
In the spirit of Peterson's as well as this digital age we're in and how easy it actually is sometimes to do these things. I don't know what all the rules are with it. I'm sure everybody's got their CSAC, ASCAP, everything else, but like cover songs, still a big thing on social. Like if we had a Branson channel where we're doing cover songs, like popular songs, but having different performers here doing it, and but Explore Branson really dominating that on their feed and channel to try to get momentum, and it's amazing the things that go viral and can get a lot of traction.
Hey, Drew, this is Timothy Navy. Can you guys hear me?
We can, Tim. Go ahead. Yeah, what's up, Tim?
Yeah, so Drew, hey, everybody, fascinating conversation. I've learned so much the last hour and a half. I've really enjoyed myself. This town is just full of amazing people with amazing insights. So I just want to tell you that. But Drew, we are doing that exact same thing. We've done about 40 million views in about the last 8 weeks. And the thing is everyone is talking about going on the road and spreading the word, and that's very, very smart and should definitely be done. Our group's manager, Joe, goes out to a different city every 2 weeks. He's on the road all over the country constantly. And there is many pockets of places that are still unaware of Branson and what we have to offer. And they're shocked when he just pulls in there and gives them the rundown and tells them about the whole town. Don't discount the power of the internet. We've sold thousands of tickets the last 8 weeks to our show for people that have never even heard of Branson. by designing and building a viral video campaign across all platforms. It has just really been a rocket ship this summer, and there's no reason why the entire town, not just from the music standpoint, but why the entire town can't do the same thing. It's been astonishing. You know, the Petersons, really helped us a lot, but it's just been astonishing to see what can happen when things start to go viral and it gets out into the world. But if you want to spread the word about Branson, the quickest, the easiest, the fastest, that's the way to do it. And we're doing it right now, and it's been a massive home run. And there's a whole lot of untapped business, and I think a lot of it is just teaching the shows how to do this. And there's a lot of, I'd be very happy to to help with some resources as far as tutorials and different things that really helped us to figure out like what the sweet spot is. But once you get to the point where things start going parabolic, it just changes everything. And I just wanted to toss in my 2 cents there. So don't discount the power of that, along with doing what everybody else is suggesting and going on the road. Both of those things together could be huge. You could also live stream those concerts both on the road and not on the road. We've done that repeatedly. As a matter of fact, in another couple of days, we will be live streaming every single performance. And then we'll be live streaming it in VR 2 months after that. There's no reason why all the entertainers in Branson could not get together and do a live stream performance. And we could all reach out to all of our contacts, and we could do it right here from in town and have thousands and thousands of people watching it. We've done it 4 or 5 times a year. We'll sell a couple thousand tickets to each one, and we do that right from the Clay Cooper Theater. We don't even have to leave the town to get all this awareness. So just wanted to throw in some ideas. I appreciate you all.
Well, Tim, piggybacking on what you said there, with the road things, you can do like what the Petersons do, is you sort of vlog the trip too. So you get
Absolutely.
both the actual physical appearance of it and the physical rate, but then you get the digital reach as well, because people love that kind of stuff.
Okay.
100%. 100%. And then they are the masters at it. You know, they built this huge international business by doing everything you just described. And it seems like if there was some training, and a lot of the folks already in the room and on the call already know how to do all this, but if there was some training for everybody else on how to reach out to everybody on the internet to help with the branding of Branson and everything else, it could be huge. But I really think that if you got a couple thousand travel professionals all around the entire country, or even further than that, onto a live stream of our best entertainment, and we just simply had a great show. It could even be a live show for folks here in town. We could invite all the locals. They could come for $5 or whatever. It would allow a ton of people to be able to attend, and that stuff works really, really good. Just through our own experience.
That's a great idea.
I think there's definitely some good ideas being thrown out here today, and it might make sense. Heather, I'd love your input on this, and maybe we just need to do work sessions. I don't know, I'll just say quarterly, because we really don't. And we're, a lot of times we're in a structured agenda. And so maybe there's some opportunities just to get people in the room and just talk and throw out ideas, and some of them will stick and some of them won't. I mean, that's the reality, but I think sometimes you just got to have that brainstorming, that discussion to say, what is that? Okay, I do want to kind of wrap this up, because I still have another item on the agenda for the board just to talk, and we probably won't talk about that very long, but any other final comments on just goals and strategies? Do we feel like this was productive and healthy?
I think so.
I think we've come up with some really great ideas that will help maximize our budget. And some outside the box things that Heather obviously was very interested in doing with the customer service thing, things that I think will do brand awareness that you're looking for, all that from this meeting that I don't think would happen necessarily without it.
Okay. Well, if you want to go now, you can. We don't want people to have to stay here, but we're gonna talk a little bit about mission and vision. So you can stick around if you'd like, but if you need to go, won't bother us. Well,
Thank you, guys.
So, and I think from a board perspective on mission and vision, I came up with, well, I think just to kind of recap where we've been on this, we have, thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you.
I guess we met, I don't know, several weeks ago now where we just talked about this. We went through and answered questions. I typed that up, sent that back out to folks. I then tried to take some of those comments, put them into a one-page document, which I just gave to Alex and Sue. And so I think the question is, where do we go from here? Do we work on wordsmithing something that we think is the vision and the mission? And at the end of the day, what I want to do is something that everybody can buy into, or I don't know if that's the right word for everybody. Everybody says, yes, this is it. Like we're all in agreement. Collaboration, maybe that's the word. Where we collaborate and we make it the best it can be. Once again, and something that quite frankly will stand the test of time. Thanks, Drew, for coming. Appreciate your.
Thank you guys. Appreciate what you do.
And so I guess we don't have very long. I think we said this, was this going to 5? Did we even put that on?
Well, it's the other place that was going till 6. That's what your brother told me.
Well, I sometimes put stuff on the calendar.
Oh,
I think I had this on my calendar for the meeting room over there, but I didn't take it on.
okay.
So in the few minutes that we have left, what do y'all think from a process standpoint? Because I also don't want to drag it out forever either, right?
And it was non-adopted, right?
Nothing
So
was adopted.
nothing exists.
We just-
There's always been a good idea, but it's never formally been adopted. That's important.
Well, and Angela had mentioned in one of the meetings, there was something within our, I don't even have it here, but I had underlined the same words that you said, well, here's our mission right here. And it was in one of our documents and you said, here's our mission. And I thought, okay. And actually I had underlined it and then you said it and I thought, okay, 2 of us are on the same track. And that was, our mission is to enhance the economic health of the district. And I added health and wealth of the district. I mean, that's very simple. Our mission is to enhance the economic health of the district. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, well, and I think it's coming up with those right words, right? And I understand there's a statute, there's a law that says here's what we're supposed to do. I get that. And so I think for me, it's about how do you word that in such a way where it's easy to remember and it encompasses everything we want it to encompass. Without it being really right. And so like I'm not going to sit here and say the ones that you have here in front of you are I was basically trying to come up with several different ways to say the same thing based on the notes. And so it still might be economic health, but it might be saying that in a different way. Does that make sense, Sue?
Mhm.
So, but I guess what I'm curious is from a process standpoint, how are we gonna get to that? Hey, here's what we think it is. Do we work as a group to wordsmith something and say, hash it out that way? Or do we, one way is that we say, here's our top 3 favorites, 10 favorites, and you could come up with some other things. Do we then vote on and narrow it down to the top 5 and say, okay, here's why we like the top 5 and what can we take from those top 5 to narrow it down? I think vision is a little different than mission, because the vision is here's what we want to be. And here were 3, and there were more things that people had commented on, but I was like, once again, trying to get people to start thinking about, what's that look like? And I don't want to drag this process out, but I also know it's really important and it needs to stand the test of time.
Yes.
And I would quite honestly like to get this, let's see, we have July, August, so we have 3 more board meetings before the new board comes in. And when I say new board, potential new appointees, although people could be reappointed, I really don't want to have to do all this work and then it die start all over.
Yeah.
So I'd like to have this done and finalized by the September meeting, if not before. Alex, I'm going to ask you, what do you think about from a process?
Yeah, I think process and procedurally, one of the things I think would be good is to recommend that each of the board members submit, like we have, and I know the experiences may vary when you put out a feeler that you may not have a high return on. High return rate. So I think it's incumbent to, like, I would have one that I could put together and submit, but that doesn't mean it's the only one, but that might be good, because sometimes I think people sit in the chair and it's hard to, they may have done the research, they may not have. We take recommendations, we adopt a timeline, and then we follow that timeline. With that timeline completing, like you just mentioned, if you don't want it to get completely just tossed, then we have to come up to an agreeable set of rules. Because if not, then it becomes like, okay, it'll eliminate any perception of like any one person, saying, well, this mission and vision was written by X, or so-and-so wished they would have participated, but they didn't know. But you're right, there is no procedure in place because there's never been one. Historically, we know that to be a fact. At some point, I don't know, was it you or someone made a determination that we don't, and it's like super important as part of our training. Maybe John Baltus brought it up, I don't know, but we don't have them. So it is a responsibility of the board to take decisive action and establish that. So I know I'd recommend a procedure, like a step process with like how we do our governance, like that, the document that talks about our timeline, tasks, actions that we're going to talk about at each board meeting, get everyone's buy-in on it, adopt that timeline with the completed product done at the September board meeting at the latest.
So what would be in that process between, if we said September is our absolute deadline, what process would you see that we would need to do between the?
Well, what I think is this, I think it's important to know, you made the comment and it's a fair one, that this is such an important topic, but we also know that the regular agenda meeting is already pegging 3 hours of each meeting, and you don't want it to get like everyone's at fatigue, so then we're just gotta rush this thing through. That would be completely disingenuous. I think a method that would work, and it's gonna be a little taxing on board members, it's gonna take some extra commitment, is in this phased or step process leading into September, we set up the agreeable time frame, what steps we're gonna do each month. And I have a plan I'll submit by email That the work session into the board special session will give that the only focus. If we agree that that's the only purpose of that, and we're clear on what we're gonna do at each one, this is a work session for steps X through Y, and then the next one will be these steps, this step. We know exactly what we're gonna do at that meeting, and nothing more, nothing less. It doesn't take away from the regular agenda. It's gonna be a little bit bumpy, but then we can say it was the sole focus, undivided attention, no other contributing facts. We buckle down. But we all have to agree on, like you said, the rules and the expectations of each of those meetings, so that everyone knows what to expect. That would be how I would recommend it, and that's just one person's perspective. And I'll annotate that very clearly in the email and share it with everybody. That would be how I'd recommend to do it. But
Sue? Thoughts?
I think the idea of having everybody submit what they think are the vision statement and the mission statement should be, that those are all submitted. And I've actually run this process before. I have, done brainstorming deals for Silver Dollar City countless times. And it's amazing what you can get done when you have your thought starters up there and you start melding all these ideas together and really come up with a fine-tuned final thing. And maybe we work on mission one time and vision another time and not try to do
it has to be broken down. You're right.
all in one
Yeah, that's a
session.
good idea.
But I think your idea of having everybody submit the different things and then we focus on one at a time and get that drilled down to where we'd like to see it, and then make sure that it rings true to what we're trying to convey to people, and then go from there. And not to do both of them in one session,
I
do
think
them separately.
that's a good idea. I think at the end of the day, even if you do them separately, they've got to, some aspects at the end of the day, be cohesive together.
Well, yes.
But I think they
yes.
could be. I don't
Yes.
think you'll do that out of. I think it'd still be, but we just would need to make sure of that. And so I like that idea of one time mission, one time vision. If we can bring out of those meetings, if we can come, hey, here's what we think the mission is, then we come to the vision, then the next one, you're like, okay, here they are together.
Let's fine tune them. And
Let's, we think this is it. And I think at that point, we try and get some input from other folks as well. Whether that's MOC, FOC, our partners. I don't think that hurts anything. Let's put it
No,
that way.
no.
It will either validate or people will be like, that ain't it. Like it'll be one or the other, right?
right.
Yeah. So I think that what I hear you guys saying is let's not do it in our regular meetings. Let's continue to do it in a work session and make that the focus of the work session. So
I think the only way you're gonna be, and it sucks because nobody wants to, and if there's a way to be palatable and how we execute it, I don't know what that looks like location wise or logistically, but I think what's gonna happen is, or I'm pretty confident to say if it's in a regular meeting, it's going to cause it to just naturally not get as much attention as it deserves, given that
Right.
that's a lifelong, the H board shouldn't be coming in and redoing this process in the absence of it. Being as old as the tourism district is, it's a responsibility to set that so that there's clear expectations on what people are doing, because then it's tied to something and there's an obligation.
okay. Alex, you send me your input, you said via email, and since you've got any others, and then I think what I'll try and do is work to figure out how we draft that, schedule that, kind of lay out a timeline. I think that would be helpful.
Mine's a step plan, and then it'll be aggregated in such a way it'll have everything minus dates.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, and I, part of this is I think we've got to try and meet when we're not meeting on everything else. Of course, we've had more meetings lately.
Well, have we?
These work sessions, but this was good today. I think it was healthy. And I guess I would say is if somebody didn't want to meet, I guess they shouldn't be on the board, right? I don't know. I mean, that's, and I agree there, you can meet too much, I get that, but what we're doing is extremely important.
It has to be warranted and, the topic is so large that either the board shouldn't be taking it up and let it just lie how it is, or if you're gonna take up something like that, give it the due attention that it deserves.
Right.
Now, be efficient too. We have an obligation to not putt around, and that's where I say it procedurally, if we agree to a set of rules, we stick to that and we don't get into we stay within that and we hit those deliverables in each of those benchmarks. So that we're respecting people's time and the sensitivity of the.
Well, and that's why I don't want to drag it out. I think,
You put a timeline against it with deliverables and an end date, that's an expectation.
so, okay, I think we can all agree at least the deadline is definitely the September meeting, if not before. If we can do it before, great, but if not, that is our deadline at the very latest. Because that keeps the board that is on this now in the process. Otherwise, yeah, you have new people coming in. Potentially, you have new people coming in that they wouldn't know where you potentially even are.
I think it is really good to ask for input from others. This is our mission statement, the way it is now, and not try to ask them about mission and vision. Just ask them about one and have them submit any ideas or whatever they might have. And they're more than welcome to attend the work sessions if they want to, but sometimes I think we throw too much at them and it, like you said, Alex, it just kind of gets put aside because there's more important things that need to be dealt with at that particular time.
And at the end of the day, this is important, but passing a budget is probably more. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
yes.
It's the thing of the
That's the
day.
snake closest to your foot.
Right. And so that's a little bit of the challenge.
But again, too, I think this board's already committed to a higher standard of, just minimalistic service. Like, again, whenever we brought John in, it's the first time that I've seen, where we're committing to professional training and hitting higher marks. And when a guy like that on his reputation talks about the importance of mission and vision, we're board of directors for a group that doesn't have one adopted after all these years. It's taking up a higher calling and a higher professional
Well,
standard.
we do have one, but it's
Well, it's
Not
not, it
a
wasn't
quarter
adopted.
page long,
And it's not even
not even.
legitimate.
Yeah.
It wasn't really adopted based on what
Okay.
we determined. It was just put together, but never adopted.
It's discussed.
But we've got to have something that people can easily remember. And
And they should be on our homepage of our website. Once we get them established, they should be there.
And to be honest, the appointing authorities, I would think, and this is just me, once you set that precedent, that kind of helps the sportsmanship thing out, because when they're appointing people, like, we can make the ask, like we talked about, well, hey, send us someone that's gonna be able to do these type of things, but if there's clear expectations on what the mission and vision, those appointees should fall within the confines of not just statutorily and legally and sunshine, but within they're a good fit for advancing that mission and that vision. I mean, it's still political appointees like everyone talked about at the end of the day, but just committing to a higher standard. I'll have that to you today, or I'll have it. I've already got everything pretty much where it needs to be. It'll be in there today, so there's no undue delay.
okay, well, I appreciate you guys being here today. And I think at the end of the day, what I heard is, in general, I don't think there will be real big issues with a lot of these. I think the CVB is actually doing or planning to do a lot of these. I think the only one that was maybe questionable was the whole brand awareness and how we monitor that or measure that, or they talked about a couple of different reports they're looking at. But other than that, I don't think there was. I think we're all on the same page for the most part.
And that's a good thing. I think just candidly, I think there was some hurt feelings about where, how, and what was shared. But at the end of the day, we recognized that perception, didn't do anything decisive at that moment, brought them to the table, and thank goodness we're not on different worlds, because at the end of the day, we have a job to do. They have an obligation as well. And I think that's what you're finding out there, is that it's just it's a working relationship, and there were some hurt feelings in that, but now we can say definitively that, we want you to be involved. So there's no dictation of any particular process here.
Yeah.
So I think you dropped off way
Is that
early.
correct? Is Mr. Elmquist on?
That's what I see.
I think he is. Okay,
So.
well, we're gonna disconnect now. We're done.
Sorry,
Oh,
Kurt.
so sorry. My meeting went really long, but they were very productive, so I hope yours was as well.
It was.
It was,
It
it was, Kurt.
We'll chat with you later. Bye.
It's off.